All right, everybody, welcome back. We've got some more free agent running backs to take a look at here, and this tier is really we're talking about more depth players, but what I really like to call this group, this is the ring chasers. These are the veteran players. They've been around a while. They've been good in this league, but their time as a really good player in this league is pretty much long gone. And the only thing that is left for them to do is to try to go get a Super Bowl ring. So, regardless of what Spotrac may say, I think that most, if not all of these players will play for the vet minimum if they feel like there's a chance to get a Super Bowl. And maybe you can get more than the vet min out of them throughout the course of a season. So, little bit dicier here because these guys could just have nothing left. Some of them arguably already have nothing left. But I want to go over them, so let's talk about some ring chasing running backs who might be able to help you a little bit. All right, everybody, before we go any further into this video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about the Sleeper app and some new functionality they've recently rolled out, Team Picks. With Team Picks, you can pick winners in all kinds of sporting events. Right now, we have NBA basketball, college basketball, NHL hockey is going on, baseball's going to start in a little more than a month, and of course, you have futures in the NFL, even though the games in the NFL are over. Right now, if you look to my left here, you can actually see you can bet on next year's Super Bowl winner. They've got the Seahawks leading the way in those odds, by the way, at 12%. How does that make you feel as a Seahawks fan? But you can bet on MVP, you can bet on draft picks, you can bet on player destinations, all kinds of fun stuff, even though the season is over. So that is Team Picks over on Sleeper. A lot of fun stuff you can do. All right, so first guy here is Austin Ekeler, gonna turn 31 this offseason, which doesn't sound super old, but Austin Ekeler has been kind of a forgotten guy for a couple years now. He's been in the league since 2017. I think that was the first year the Chargers moved to LA, and he was never like a featured running back, but he was a very good receiving back for a while there, and there were seasons where he was one of the better players in the league at the position. Had 100 catches in 2022, which doesn't even seem that long ago, right? 2023, he was still a 1,000-yard player, but last 2 years for Washington, he's been pretty clearly a reserve, and he did do some good work for them in 2024. 2025, he only played in 2 games. So we're definitely nearing the end here with Austin Ekeler. His days of being a really good player in this league are done. He was an offensive player of the year candidate in 2022, and now I don't really know what to say about his I don't really know what to say about him as a player right now because he didn't even play last year. But let's talk about it. Like, he got hurt last year. He only played in 2 games. What are you gonna do about that? He's never been a guy who gets a ton of carries up the middle, right? He's not a guy who gets a lot of carries out of the backfield. He's a receiving back. So you're not taking quite as much punishment as you might be as a traditional running back. He only has 1 year where he went over 300 touches, and it was 2022. That was his best year. And look at all the touchdowns he has. I mean, there's something of value here. Now, I had to go all the way back to 2023 to find a year where Pro Football Focus even graded him, and they did not rule favorably on him at all. They actually thought he was one of the worst running backs in football. And I think they have a history of really not liking Eckler's game all that much. But um, Spotrac has 1 year, 2.9 million. Again, I'm not interested in doing it unless it's for like the veteran minimum. This is not a, I think Austin Eckler is going to add a lot to this team type signing. I don't even really know if he's really a great fit for what we need out of that position. This is a take the veteran minimum to try to get a ring type signing. And I don't even know if I would do that for Eckler because he's not really what we're looking for. But these are the kinds of things that I am thinking about right now. And I even wrote in a Seahawks on SI article about this the other day. Now that the Seahawks are champions, they're going to have to sift through some ring chasing veterans and figure out which ones can help them and which ones are just going to try to be along for the ride. And Eckler might be one of them. All right, next guy. This is a little bit of a better fit. It's Kareem Hunt, another guy who's going to be 31 this offseason. Kind of a forgotten player in recent years. Great rookie season with the Chiefs, and then things kind of derailed from there, but still an effective player, man. He had almost 1,000 yards from scrimmage in 2024 for a Chiefs team that made the Super Bowl. he was an effective player in Cleveland for a few years there, and even last year on a kind of dysfunctional Chiefs offense, he got some stuff done, not efficiently, but as we learned with Pacheco, it's hard to be an efficient running back in that Chiefs offense right now until they sort out their offensive line and some of their receiver issues. So this is a running back that kind of fits what I think the Seahawks need from that position. And again, if you can get this guy for super cheap because he is an older player coming off a couple years where he was, serviceable but forgettable, you might have something here. Pro Football Focus actually thought he was decent last year, by the way. They liked his running. His rushing grade was good, 21st out of 55. Now, they say 1 year, 1.9 million. Again, this is not really something where I'm looking to give a guy the money that he's worth. I'm looking to get a discount so he can try to chase a ring because he never won one with Kansas City, by the way. Kind of bad luck there, by the way, although it's his own fault, right? He leaves Kansas City right before they start winning Super Bowls, and then he comes back just in time for them to lose a Super Bowl and then miss the playoffs completely. But this might be along the lines of what we're looking for here. This might be a little bit more of a fit as opposed to Austin Ekeler in terms of the play style. So I don't hate this idea. So if Kareem Hunt wants to jump on a team that just won a Super Bowl and say, I'll get the vet minimum, and I know I'll get at least a few months where I'm getting the ball a decent number of times because of the situation with Charbonnet, then I think that could actually work fairly well. Another guy in a similar vein would be Nick Chubb. He's actually only going to be 30 this year. He's not going to turn 31 until late December. So age, not really a huge concern there. Granted, the mileage is a lot more than some of these other guys. This has been a featured running back in this league for a while. He was a Pro Bowler 4 straight years for Cleveland. And this most recent year for Houston, he was still a fairly effective player. I don't want to go crazy with it, right? But 500 yards, 4.1 yards per carry behind a terrible offensive line in an offense that was generally dysfunctional for a multitude of reasons is not the worst. So I think there could be a little bit left in the tank here. It seems like he's mostly past the injury in the sense that he can at least play. I know he's not the player he used to be. He'll never have 1,000 yards and average over 5 yards a carry again. This is not Adrian Peterson here, but he can be an effective player, and he's a nice little hammer. I think that could work playing off a lead back like Walker or Breece Hall. So I like the Nick Chubb idea. I think that there is some validity here as a secondary back, of course, for temporary purposes. By the way, Pro Football Focus, they weren't big fans of his 2025, but it wasn't terrible, right? It's serviceable, and this is the kind of stuff that we're looking for anyway. If he was elite, he would be getting a lot more money, and we would not be talking about signing him. And Spotrac thinks he's going to get basically vet min, 1 year, 1.3 million. And I think you're going to get your money's worth out of that, no problem. So, yeah, Nick Chubb, it's a decent idea. If you want to go this route, I think you're going to get a few months of good play out of him, and that's ultimately what you're looking for. So the Nick Chubb thing, there's something here. There's definitely something here. And this final guy, I'm mostly just putting here because he's done very well in a Shanahan scheme before, Raheem Mostert. And you definitely remember this name from his time with the 49ers, also recently a Dolphin. He has done some pretty impressive things in this league. However, that was a while ago. The last 2 years, he has been relatively anonymous as a player. So this is one of those things where you're just kind of hoping he can find his old form if you put him in an offense that more closely resembles the offenses he's been in before that are good. But he's going to be 34 this offseason. So you're already betting on him kind of beating the odds and getting back to what he was even. Obviously, he's not going to get back to what he was in 2023, but you're hoping he can recapture some of that success because these last 2 years he's been basically anonymous. He was with the Dolphins, didn't really do much. And then last year he was with the Raiders and was basically a pure backup, barely played, barely got the ball. But we know how good this guy has been at various points in his career. He was great for the Niners the year they made their first Super Bowl run with Shanahan. He was great with Miami the year that they made the playoffs in 2023 with 18 touchdowns, led the league. So he's been very successful in that Shanahan scheme. He's the right kind of running back, but he's 34. Now, again, I think that because of that age and because of his situation where he hasn't done much the last couple years, you can probably get him super cheap. And by the way, Pro Football Focus doesn't even grade him for the last 2 years, so you have to go back to 2023 to find a year he got graded. I don't know how much I would lean on this as a guiding light for what you can expect out of Raheem Mostert, but it was obviously very good. And yeah, Spotrac kind of has the right idea here. He's a vet min player, 1 year, 1.3 million. You're not going to be disappointed in Raheem Mostert for 1 year, 1.3 million, I don't think, even at 34 years old. But again, what we need from Raheem Mostert or whoever it is we sign here is probably going to be something that can play off of a lead back for a few months. I don't know if Mostert has enough left in the tank to be effective for a few months. But that's the decision the team has to make. They have to look at him. They have to look at a lot of players, and they have to decide who their bet is going to be on. And maybe it'll be on a guy like Raheem Mostert. All right, so that's it for the running backs that I'm going to go over in this free agency primer. There are a lot more, by the way. As you can see, the list of available running backs is actually pretty darn long. Now, a lot of them are going to be restricted, so there's no chance of getting them. But I do think that even if you don't get one of these guys, there are going to be other guys that can help you win. The question is just not all of them are going to help you win, so you have to pick out the right ones. All right. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos tomorrow. Going to be streaming tonight. I know I said I was going to stream yesterday and then I didn't, but I'm definitely going to stream today. I definitely got to get back on it. We got to finish Fear. I think the new Poppy Playtime just came out, and I want to start Witcher 3 because people have been asking me to do that for a while. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks.